I have some significant and rather troubling news coming out of the league office today regarding the future of our franchise, and I want to break down exactly what this means for the Minnesota Vikings moving forward. It is not often that a Week 18 game check gets hit this hard, but the NFL has officially issued a fine to our rookie quarterback, J.J. McCarthy, following an unsportsmanlike conduct penalty that has set the sports world on fire with debate. Before I dive deep into the technicalities of this fine and what it reveals about the internal culture at TCO Performance Center, I need to ask you for a quick favor. If you love the Vikings and want the most reliable, professional analysis on the web, please hit that subscribe button, give this video a like, and most importantly, I want to hear from the fans. Comment below right now and tell me which city you are watching from today. I always love seeing how far the Skol chant reaches across the globe. Now, let us look at the facts of this situation. I have spent years covering the intricacies of the NFL's disciplinary system, and when the league office decides to reach into a rookie's pocket, they are usually trying to send a very specific message. This was not just a simple flag on the field. It was a punctuation mark on a season that has been filled with quiet whispers regarding J.J. McCarthy and his overall maturity levels. I have been following this story closely, and the details of the unsportsmanlike conduct penalty suggest a moment of frustration that boiled over at the absolute worst time. For a young player who is supposed to be the foundational pillar of this organization, these moments matter. I often tell people that talent gets you into the league, but temperament keeps you there. When I look at the footage and talk to my sources around the league, there is a growing concern that the pressure of being a first-round selection in a market as passionate as Minnesota might be weighing on him more than the coaching staff originally anticipated. The fine itself is a standard amount based on the collective bargaining agreement, but the optics are what truly hurt. We are talking about a rookie who is still learning the speed of the professional game, yet he is finding himself in the crosshairs of the league's officiating department for non-football-related actions. I think it's important for us to analyze the why behind this. Is this just a young man being competitive, or is it a sign of a deeper lack of discipline? When I was reporting on the sidelines years ago, I saw many great quarterbacks go through these growing pains, but the great ones find a way to channel that fire into their play rather than into confrontations that result in penalties. The Vikings have invested a massive amount of draft capital and future salary cap space into the idea that J.J. McCarthy is the guy. When he loses his cool on the field, it does more than just cost the team 15 yards, it costs him the trust of the veterans in that huddle. I want to be clear that I am not sounding the alarm of a total collapse just yet, but I am certainly raising a yellow flag. This latest fine is a symptom of a larger narrative that has been building throughout the season. I have heard reports of small instances in practice and in the locker room where his reactions to adversity have been questioned by those within the building. Now that the league has stepped in with a formal financial penalty, those internal discussions are going to become much more public. I have always believed that clarity and precision are key in these reports, so let us be precise. The NFL does not fine players for being emotional, they fine them for being unprofessional. This distinction is critical for our understanding of where McCarthy stands in his development. I am looking at the way the coaching staff handled the immediate aftermath, and there seems to be a protective barrier around him right now. However, I know from experience that protective barriers do not last long in the NFL if the behavior does not change. I am going to continue to monitor the communication between the front office and the league office regarding this incident, because usually there is a letter of warning that precedes these types of public fines. If that is the case, then this was not a one-time mistake, but rather a repeated behavior that the rookie failed to correct. I want you to think about the impact this has on the team's momentum. We are in a transition period, and we need a leader who is unshakable. Is J.J. McCarthy that man, or is he still just a kid playing a man's game? I will continue this analysis in just a second. Continuing with my analysis of the J.J. McCarthy situation, I want to pivot toward the long-term implications of this maturity narrative. I have seen many players labeled with maturity issues early in their careers who eventually went on to become Hall of Famers, but I have also seen it be the beginning of the end for many talented individuals. The key factor here is the intervention of the coaching staff. Head coach Kevin O'Connell is known for his player-friendly approach and his background as a quarterback, which should, in theory, make him the perfect mentor for McCarthy. However, I have to wonder if the leash has been a little too long this season. When I look at the structure of the Vikings leadership, it is clear that they want to empower their young quarterback, but empowerment without accountability can lead to the very situation we are seeing now. This fine by the league is almost a blessing in disguise for the organization because it allows them to point to an external authority and say, look, it is not just us, the entire league is watching you. I think we need to talk about the financial aspect as well. For a rookie on his initial contract, a Week 18 game check being reduced by a significant fine is a wake-up call that hits the bank account. I have spoken to retired players who say that the first time they got a FedEx envelope from the league office, it changed how they approached the game. I am hoping that is the case for McCarthy. I want to see him take this moment and turn it into a positive. If he can demonstrate a more composed demeanor in the offseason and heading into next year, this fine will be nothing more than a footnote in his biography. But if we see another incident like this in the preseason, then we have a genuine trend on our hands. I am also looking at how the fan base is reacting. I see the comments online and I hear the talk on the radio. The fans are divided. Some say, let the kid be aggressive and fiery, while others are worried that we have a diva in the making at the most important position on the field. My professional opinion is that the truth lies somewhere in the middle. He has the fire you want in a winner, but he hasn't learned the poker face required of an elite NFL signal caller. I remember covering the great ones like Peyton Manning or Tom Brady. They were incredibly fiery, but they almost never let that fire result in an unsportsmanlike conduct penalty that hurt their team. That is the level McCarthy needs to aspire to. I am also keeping a very close eye on the general manager's perspective. Kwesi Adofo-Mensah is an analytical thinker, and he understands that every variable matters when evaluating a player's value. If McCarthy becomes a liability in terms of penalties and distractions, his value to the franchise takes a hit, regardless of how many touchdowns he throws. This is a business, and in this business, reliability is just as important as talent. I want to summarize what we have discussed today. We have a rookie quarterback who has been officially fined by the NFL for conduct that the league deems unacceptable. This follows a season where his maturity has been a consistent topic of conversation. While one fine does not define a career, it does serve as a loud and clear warning that the rookie excuse is wearing thin. The Vikings need J.J. McCarthy to grow up, and they need him to do it quickly. To summarize the situation, the NFL fine is a formal acknowledgement that McCarthy's behavior on the field has crossed a line. It is now up to the coaching staff and the player himself to ensure that this is the last time we are talking about his conduct rather than his completion percentage. I truly believe that he has the talent to succeed, but the mental side of the game is where the biggest battles are won. I will be here every step of the way to provide you with the facts and the deep analysis you deserve. Thank you so much for joining me today for this deep dive into the Minnesota Vikings' latest news. I hope this gave you a clearer picture of what is happening behind the scenes. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you never miss an update on our team. Skol Vikings, and I will see you in the next video.